Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be looking at a very simple experiment that you can do with very few resources that gives the kids a chance to use a sort of investigative procedure, so almost like a forensic science sort of procedure here. It takes a couple of different outcomes, so overall I would just say that this is just a good one to get them, allow them to explore using investigation overall. But in terms of specific outcomes, you could use it for anything to do with dissolving. Some of the outcomes to do with materials might also apply to this. What we're using is a procedure called chromatography. Chromatography is when we use a solute in order to, so some sort of mixture, in this case a solution, in this case just water, to separate out different components from a chemical, so separating individual chemicals from one another. In this case, the mixture of chemicals is in the form of ink. So ink is obviously not just one chemical, it's a variety of different chemicals that are mixed together in order to make the particular colour that we're looking for. So all that really needs to be done is you take a bit of filter paper. In fact, I'll demonstrate in front of the camera just now. But all you need to do really is have a bit of filter paper, and on the filter paper you want to draw a line. Hopefully you can see this here. So we're going to take a bit of filter paper and we're just going to do a sample of the ink here. Okay, so there's our ink. Now I actually have one going in here already, but just to demonstrate it, what you want to do is once you've taken your filter paper with the line on it, you're going to submerge it part way up in the water here. So you don't want the ink to actually touch the water. You want it to kind of be picked up by the water on the way. So submerge it in the beaker, and the water will eventually come up through that and start to dissolve it. So what's really going on here, and you can see one that started off here already, and a couple of samples I did earlier. What's going on here is that the water is dissolving the different chemicals within the ink, but the different chemicals will dissolve at different rates, and so they will move up the paper at different rates. So we get different pigments moving up the paper at different speeds, and so that separates them out. Why might you do this then? What might the benefit of it be, or how might you actually set up the lesson more to the point? Well, one good way of doing it is by almost setting up like a crime scene investigation. So you say, for instance, we received a ransom note, and when we did chromatography on it, the pigments that we got coming off looked like this. So this is, this here. This is an example of the ransom note's pigments. We know that the ransom note was written by one of these pens, but we don't know which one, and we're asking you guys to figure it out. So they can then go take their filter papers, like so, and they probably want to be keeping track of which ones correspond to which pens, draw a line on each one, and just go about the chromatography. Leave it for a few minutes, let the water do its work, separate out all the pigments, and hopefully by the end of it you should have your final answer. And you can see how this one's already starting to separate out here. It takes quite a while for it to happen, so a little bit of patience is required. But in fact, the pen I used for that one is the same pen that I used for this one earlier as well. So that's these two eventually should end up looking very similar in the end. So yeah, a cool wee opportunity for the class to practice a little bit of investigation, while also learning a little bit about the way density works and the fact that chemicals can dissolve in different solutions. And in fact, some of them, for instance, this one here that didn't work earlier, obviously just aren't soluble in water, so they won't dissolve at all, and you'll not get anything moving up the paper. So it does tie into a couple of outcomes, but above all, just a cool chance for them to do a bit of investigation. Give it a shot. Cheers.